I have a question, Stuart. It's Christine.
Yes, Christine.
I
Please,
was reading.
1 second. Try and sit still, everyone. And class is still going on. If people are fidgeting, moving, it really disrupts the energy. Now, go ahead, Christine.
I was reading your blog, Tantra number 10, and I really enjoyed it. And my question is, as students, what can I do in addition to my meditation, Kundalini meditation, to bring more Tantra in, because those two you said were so important?
1 second. Daniela, please sit up and do the meditation. Look, Tantra is something that's learned over years of practice. It's learned because somebody develops a chakra system inside that enables the energy, the Shakti that flows into their system to help build, first of all, the chi, the power. You need to have power in order to do tantric yoga. You need to be very strong inside yourself. And this takes time. It takes really a development of a system inside that allows these things to organically take place. And Tantra, look, Tantra is something that, people always identify with sex and erotic things. And yeah, it takes place in the sexual chakra. But the purpose of Tantra is more like transformation of all the blocks and tensions inside a human being into a purity of energy that can activate Kundalini. Now, yes, if you ever go find a book on Tantra, it's, all they do is show you pictures of gods and Mahasiddhas and everybody's coupling, yes, it takes place there. Sexual energy is really powerful energy. And the purpose of our meditation is to develop the strength inside ourselves that we can use that energy for its real purpose. Its real purpose is to truly give a human being a spiritual life, to transform all of the blocks, the hindrances, the obstructions, the tensions, all of that chaos that goes on inside people into an energy force that will activate Kundalini and make it possible to have a spiritual life. This is the ultimate goal of Tantra. Now, to do what I'm talking about, it takes time. It takes a lot of time to build that kind of system. And it also takes such a profound commitment to a spiritual life that one will never misinterpret the real purpose of Tantra and use it in order to take advantage of other people. So all of this works together, and Tantra is very esoteric. I mean, it's an extraordinary level of energy, but its purpose is purification. Its purpose is truly, ridding us of so many obstructions that inside, all that chaos that's inside a human being, all that anxiety, neurosis, fear, which gets transformed into energy that will activate Kundalini. So the answer to the question is patience and a real commitment to a spiritual life and the amount of time and energy that you're willing to invest into doing it. I mean, that in itself is a major accomplishment. Somebody that makes that kind of commitment, it's a major accomplishment. And it really is a very important step in the mastery of tantric energy. It's not, look, this thing I've been writing about the last, 10 weeks or so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is really a very high level of inner work and inner spiritual development. I remember when I was sitting with a Kala Rinpoche, at his lamasery in India, and I asked him about talking about, the Tumo, which is a Tibetan version of basically what we practice. The only thing is you got to be studying Tibetan Buddhism for 20 years before they even tell you about it. It's, in this meditation, you walk in the door and you're given Tumo, but anyway, I don't want to get into that. What I'm saying is, when I asked him to talk about, the six, the discipline of Naropa, and which is basically Tantra, transformation of energy in the third chakra into energy that moves through the sex to activate Kundalini. That's what it's really about. He, in 3 days, literally gave me an entire Tibetan Buddhist education in transmitting that teaching, that really profound teaching, to myself. And in time, it happens, you understand? But also, there was an understanding between Kala Rinpoche and myself. He knew that I had training. He could see the way I was working with him, opening to him, receiving his teachings, and that enabled him to tap a source of energy that was totally extraordinary and provide a teaching. So it was a marriage of somebody who was truly came 9,000 miles to ask him that question. And he had 300 monks sitting in his courtyard there. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme. Nobody, he said to me, he literally said this to me. He said, when he was a young Tulku, he said he would go to see his Rinpoche. He had so many questions. He had to wait hours because so many monks were lined up with their spiritual questions. He said, today I can't find anyone to teach. It almost brought a tear to my eye. This master sitting there confiding this to me. And it's such a profound truth because I find the same thing. People are busy with this and that, and to find somebody to give it away to is really a major accomplishment in life. Somebody that really is there to take the teachings in all their profundity. And that's what Tantra is about. Tantra is not a thing I can write on a blackboard and look on page 87 in this book, read about it, and you will know it. It is something you grow into, you evolve into. It happens organically. And if anybody tells you anything, just be careful, because Tantra is also an extremely powerful energy, just as Kundalini is an extremely powerful energy, and it's nothing to mess around with. Anyone who teaches that has to teach it so responsibly. I have 16 of these things I'm putting on my website already, there's 10 and I have 6 more already that are written. The last one is about Kundalini-itis. And how people are in, sanatoriums suffering from Kundalini-itis. I had somebody called me up the other day and described something that's going on with a friend. They have Kundalini-itis. They have no training. Something, activated that power. I don't know if it's a drug or this or that. And suddenly they're dealing with visions and twitching and bouncing and, and they don't know how to deal with it. They don't have training. The spiritual life requires training. It requires commitment. It requires learning how to give and to receive. This is essential. I have people with these kind of things I teach that show up once every 2 weeks for class. To me, look, it's not my business and that's what they're like, but it's extraordinary with the kind of level that's being taught here. Somebody shows up every 2 weeks, they'll come to meditation. That to me is amazing. You know, I mean, I couldn't get enough of Rudy. He had to kick me out of his store. You know, go home. No, go home. You know, I needed the energy. I needed the teaching. I needed the training. And I knew that it put me through a lot of difficult things in myself, but I needed to go through those things in order to learn how to master the chaos that was so deeply part of Stuart's inner life. And I
So
know,
in it, sorry.
yes.
So in addition to your classes and reading your blog, I don't need to do any additional things or reading or anything. Just keep at it.
Well, that you got to find in yourself, Christine. You know, I mean, look, I had to do tons of additional stuff for my teacher, and I never mind doing anything, including, you know, painting fire escapes and, you know, I mean, the endless stuff I used to do in order to help him in his life. And all of it came down to one thing. He gave me my life. And there was nothing I could do that was enough to go to Denton, Texas. You know, who the hell ever wanted to live in Denton, Texas? I mean, I lived in Paris and Rome and London. I lived in Berlin. I lived in Marrakesh. And he asked me to go to Denton, Texas and run an ashram. Okay, that's what you want. I will go do that. And then when he came down there, he told me, I want you to go for 3 weeks. He came down there. And, you know, 6 months later, I said, Rudy, it's been a hell of a 3 weeks. He said, you're on your third day, your fourth day. And I understood. I didn't argue, fight, run. Okay. When I have finished whatever work I had to do in Denton, Texas, you know, I will be able to leave. And one day it happened. I said, there's nothing else I can do here but waste my time. And, you know, and I needed to go to a situation that was 100 times bigger than me that I could use to grow. So I moved back to New York City. But there was nothing. I mean, you know, I
Thank you.
know this is not easy. We do this on Zoom and people live all over the world here, you know, and I was, you know, look, I was living in Rudy's house for a while, you know. But that's what it takes. You know, it's like Milarepa. You know, the story of Milarepa is an incredible story. He was a magician. He was a black magician. He was a criminal. He was all kinds of darkness was in his life. And he knew he had to change. He knew he had something important he had to do. He wanted to be with God. And he went to Marpa, who was probably the greatest Mahasiddha of, you know, of that period. What should I do? Build me a house. So he went and built Marpa. I want it over there. And then when he finished the house, Marpa said, no, my wife decided she doesn't want it over. Tear that one down and build me another. He built him 13 houses before Marpa finally said, okay, I'll live in that one. 13 houses. What could have been left of Milarepa's ego? Nothing. Nothing. Became the poet saint of Tibet. Always, when you see a statue of him, he always has hand on his ear, listening, you know, to the cosmos, to the voice of God. What could it be? You know, I mean, this is what it, I mean, look, we live in a different kind of world today. I'm very grateful for, you know, Zoom and we can do these classes. But don't take it for granted, you know? I mean, it takes kind of a super effort to learning how to give and to receive and to do and to be truly grateful for what is being passed on to one. I once had a Tibetan tanka that was the most extraordinary painting I'd ever seen of Milarepa. It was late 17th century, maybe early 18th century. The quality was so unbelievable. And he was such a pure figure sitting there with his hand on his ear, listening to the cosmos. 13 years of building houses for Moth. And he was able to sit there and tune into the Om sound, to the sound of God manifesting in the universe. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
That was very helpful. Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. I mean, this might chase many of you away. I don't know, but that's all right too. It really is. I mean, we have to finally make a decision of what we really want. And a new year is coming. A whole new cycle of energy is going to start, is going to manifest. And we have to truly, make that kind of commitment and find our own unique way of doing it. It's our own unique way of doing it. Nobody's going to do it the way I did it, or Rudy did it, or you got to find your way, of saying thank you. Does anyone else have a question they would like? I mean, I do this out of sheer gratitude to my teachers, what they did for me. That's why I do this. Plus, as I told you all, every one of you is my teacher. Every one of you is showing me what I have to do in order to grow and get closer to God. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening, same time, 7:30. And God bless you all and thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for forcing me to work in such great depths inside myself that I have to nourish a group like this, literally 7 days a week, 7 times a week. So God bless you all. Thank you. And I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody. I will be resuming in-person classes on, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. I mean, I know people live on the West Coast and Florida, but, find a way of making more of an effort and building your own kind of 13 houses. God bless you all, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Good night, Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.